Testing one, two, testing one, two, testing one, two. Welcome to House Culture Conversations. Hey, it is good to see everyone bright and early in the US on a Saturday morning, but on the other side of the world, it is the evening, and that'll make sense to you in just a few moments as we get another episode of House Culture Conversations underway. It is good to see you. I am getting everything together on Twitch. So give me a moment just so we can see our people that are coming in. And there we go. There we go. Wait for the noise. There we go. I know I am live now. So once again, welcome aboard House Culture Conversations. It is good to see you. Special episode on a Saturday morning in the U.S. But again, on the other side of the world, it's the evening. And our guest is from the other side of the world. Dreammaker Diva, what's happening? Welcome aboard. Thanks for jumping up and getting on board for this conversation with our guest. And let's not take any more time. Let's bring him into the stream. RT9. Let's see if he comes up there. He is RT9. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, DJ D-Lot. Thank you.
Looks like you're getting set up. Yeah. There you go. Dreammaker Diva is excited to see you. Now, what time is it where you are?
It's now 7 p.m. Saturday, but yeah, it's 7 p.m. It's quite early in the evening. Good morning, Dream.
This is fantastic. And so, just so for you guys listening in, we will have a little bit of a delay. So, you'll hear a little bit of that as we go through this conversation. But hey, tell us how you're doing. And, tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you. I'm good. I've been busy with work, and well, you know me. Born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia, the other side of America, and well, yeah, just music has been a big part of my family's life. Listening to, we got the parents blasting out the speakers every Saturday, Sunday when we are home, listening from everything from Barry White, Barry Manilow to Three Dog Nights, rock music, Jimi Hendrix, and also, you got a lot coming in. And then the 70s soulful stuff. Um, Motown stuff. So it sticks in my head, and yeah, that's it. Music has been big part of my life too. Even it was a big part of my first professional work. I was uh, I took part in like an event organizer. We work with musicians, DJs also back in the day in the 90s. So, got to see a lot of that.
That's really cool. And once again, House Culture Conversations in Twitch. I see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And everywhere on YouTube and Facebook, as you guys come in, we appreciate you so much for hanging out with us. So, when did you get in? Well, before I do that, Dreammaker Diva had a question right off the bat. Where'd you get your name, RT9?
It's very straightforward. RT is my initials, 9 is my favorite number. That's it. It's not creative at all.
Well, it comes across as wow. What does that mean? So, how'd you get into DJing?
Well, um, well, you know, I was exposed to the. Funny enough, I was exposed uh, to the, you know, dance and house scene very early. When I was probably like 14 or 15, by my uncle, who took me to clubs, and I said, "Oh, kind of like this kind of sounds. What is this sound? Eventually I knew it was dance. It was early house, Masters at Work, some of those stuff. And then, yeah, and then I start going by myself as a teenager, with friends and all. Continues on to the university life. So again, first and foremost, I'm a house head. As a listener, as an enjoyer of house music, that's me. And I come to this house culture conversations first and foremost as a listener. So it goes on like that. And then throughout my professional life, I think I keep trying to find out, chase the quality house music. Um, you know, just listening to some internet channels, YouTube, Carrie Chandler sets and all, um, just through YouTube. And then it was the pandemic, as you know. So we stayed at home a lot, and back then I couldn't afford to buy myself a record player, a mixer, even the vinyls. We have no access actually. Only the very few people could do that back in Indonesia in the 90s. So I thought, hey, here I am, got the time. So I bought uh, uh, a second-hand controller and just play around with it at home. And then somewhere along the way, back in the pandemic, I was listening to a lot of the Louis Vega uh, sets from Worldwide FM, and he was talking about moving to Twitch, where there was like video visuals, and then I can see, whoa, there's Louis Vega on almost daily basis, and he's got his decks in front of him, and so I can kind of like learn. Oh, that's how he does it. Oh, okay, okay. And then you come across other channels. So it was like listening and trying to learn at the same time. And then that's it. I One day I thought to myself, well, I'm playing this by myself at home, playing it out on the speaker, and my kid and my family listening to it. So let me try streaming it and see what do people think about it. So I was always at that time I was looking for input from people, from the listeners, and very lucky I got a lot of professional DJs and listeners, house heads who comes by. I remember all the early guys that comes in, and then they give me input. So from there on, I keep on learning. So I'm still learning, and but that's how it becomes like a. At the end, it becomes like a weekly show now.
That's incredible. It's interesting. Some of the things you were saying is, Twitch really created a platform not only for people that have been DJing, all their lives, that saw their livelihood taken away from the pandemic, but it also gave access to the music and to the culture and to being a DJ for those of us who have interest in the music and want to share the music out. It's not just a one thing to play it, but it's another thing to share it with other people and get that feedback. As you said, as a DJ, it's very rewarding when you put your set together and you get that good feedback. Now, you mentioned that it was really hard to get access to vinyl and different things like that in Indonesia. Tell us a little bit about the party scene, if you want to call it the club scene, or the house scene and house culture in Indonesia.
Okay, I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can see a little bit of the chat. So I may look young. Again, I just want to say this: may look young, but no, without my glasses, I can't see the chat and everything, even when doing streams. So that's my jam. I see you. I see the Thrive fam is out there. So yeah, back in the 90s, in the mid 90s, when I first start going into sneaking in to clubs, um, It was the classic house. I remember listening to Masters at Work, and I said, "What is this? Oh, this is Master. Who are these guys, Masters at Works?" And then I know they do remixes of mainstream songs, and then they do their own songs. Mateo Matos, that was like more the European sounds. You got Kerry Chandler back then also. So in the mid '90s up until the end of the '90s, the house, the classic house, or more to the soulful house that we know today, was thriving in Indonesia. But then starting to go into the 2000s, I think it went more to the techno, and then going on to the more to the what do you call that, the to the more, I think it becomes more trance. I think it goes to the trance, Tiesto and all those sounds. That was huge. It becomes huge in Indonesia. We started there was some festivals. I remember back in the '90s it was only clubs, but in the 2000 becomes more of a festival in Bali, in Jakarta, outdoor festivals. But trance was getting big, techno to trance, and it was not really my cup of tea, to say. So I didn't get to 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 see a lot of those, and that's why I go back to listening by myself. Trying to find, YouTube was a big outlet to find all those classic sounds. Masters at Work, Louis Vega, um, Carrie Chandler sets, and then you find stuff like um, Mark Farina. So that was, I think, the scene.
And we want to say hello, Sweet D Sauce. It is good to see you. And thanks for vibing with us on House Culture Conversations. It is just exciting to have everybody, to your point, RT9, join in. It is truly a community. That's my jam. You missed us earlier when we uh, cracked the code on RT9's name. It's his name and his favorite number, essentially. Dreammaker Diva is curious about how you and others interested in music invest in the art given lack of access and economic barriers.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the '90s, when I first see those DJs in clubs, those are very exclusive place. You have to remember that the country is not very big on is not very. This is not something that the club scenes. It was considered as a very hedonistic culture. So very few people have access to it. It looks like a very exclusive a culture to go to clubs, alcohol, and then blaring sound systems and dancing all night long until the morning. It was something that was frowned upon, I think. Um, so only few people, only few people have the access to buy records back when it was still there was no controller back then. So I know that I have a few friends that who were DJs and who are still DJs. They have to go to the nearest to Singapore, or when they have their trips to Europe, they go and buy records and so on. So for most, we don't have the access for that. Luckily for me, I was actually um, um, a singer in a band myself, so I got that out of the way. It I was still somehow in music, um, but as a DJ, no. And then I dabbled a little bit with the software, the DJ software and all, but it wasn't the same. I think when I look at those real DJs who were playing vinyls and all, oh, that's very different. And then maybe, yeah, it took time. It took me the pandemic to realize that, hey, I do have the financial capacity now to buy those sounds. So and try to play with it. So you know, I always consider that people who have access to to those stuff very lucky to be able to try those kind of things. But because in some countries, I think back in the 90s or early 2000s, some countries doesn't have that access.
Now
Even if you
you
have
men-
the players, you can't have the vinyls.
Now you mentioned, um, earlier that it was the '90s and you got exposed to it at an early age. Why do you think house music is continuing to thrive? I mean, yeah, Afro house. You mentioned all the different genres that have spawned. Why do you think house is still just this beautiful, thriving art form? Oh, did you lose me? Can you hear me now?
Me can't speak for everyone, but I think there is a connection to the soulful sounds of back then. I think, and those things are, of course, we all know the culture that it comes from America, and it sticks around. It sticks in and it blends with every kind of genre. You even see some more to the tech house stuff that still um, took a lot of from the 70s Motown sounds, those vocals and so on. So the drums pattern, something like that. So uh, it it those are soulful stuff. It gets your feet moving. It gets you happier. And I hear and that's why I think um, this kind of house will stay on. It will evolve. There will be additions to the sound and to the culture for the better or the worse, but it's going to stay there, I think. As a listener, this is me as a listener. It's a matter of which one we choose, which one we try to find, and that's what I try to do. I think that's what I try to look for in Twitch also, listening to the DJs.
That's awesome. You were saying that it's the music itself that the art form itself it makes you want to move. It makes you want to release all the cares of the day. And we before we even got on, you were talking about that. Tell us a little bit more about how music is such a release for you.
Uh okay. I work in a with numbers. So it from very early on, as I grew up um, and starting to get into my professional life, um, I realized that I need music to do my work. So it you know it's becoming a part. So I have to have like some kind of music going on, earplugs, earphones, and something like that. And you know uh it's that's just me, but that's how I do it. So it's a big part. You of course we all know music can brings you up. You know, if you're feeling down, you got some music to make you happier. It reminds you of a certain memory in your life. You know, I can remember songs. I played once that Carpenter uh, remix, uh, and why I play that, because that was the songs that my mom played. So it's it reminds me of her a little bit, something like that. So it's I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I see it.
It makes a lot of sense, right? It's to your point, working with numbers. Now, my first job, I was an accountant. and there was no music that could get me out of that fast enough. So I was no longer an accountant. But I will tell you this: music soothes the soul, and you're spot on with that. Philip, the Haitian, welcome aboard, brother. Good to see you. Hey, he calls you the young Jedi. And hey, Philip, you may not know,
Young
but
Jedi.
RT9 let us know he can't see without his glasses. So but thank you guys for joining us. House Culture Conversations. It's a special edition. I know in the US it's early, so we appreciate you so much. But over there on the other side of the world in Indonesia, we got RT9, and it's just about 7:30 his time. And so, we will make some accommodations for the fam. But we love your vibe. RT9 was telling us the pandemic really catapulted him into this space, and the feedback from the fam is what has evolved his music. And he studies DJs, he studies the music. He was telling me earlier before the show that while he's at work, he's listening to track source, picking up new tracks, thinking about his upcoming show and blends and different things like that. So it truly is an inspiration. Who are some of your inspirations, from whether it's a DJ, producer? Who do you really kind of find as a motivation for your music and your work?
Well, um, I listen to jazz a lot. So and Incognito, that's a British band, is probably like my favorite artist, because not only they do vocal stuff, beautiful stuff, but instrumentals. And I love instrumentals because you can decide your own interpretation of a song. So that's why in the sets I also played quite a lot of instrumentals actually. Morning, Philippe. So uh, so yeah, maybe Incognito. In terms of regular music, but in house I would say Masters at Work, Louis Vega, Kerry Chandler. Uh, I still love not only his early but current works is still beautiful, and Midas Retouch. Yeah, I like Midas Retouch too. He's okay. Morning, bro. I was just seeing his name there.
Midas Retouch, welcome
But
aboard. Good
I
to
want to
see you.
say I want to say that Twitch has also got me introduced to a lot of great producers that I think I would not normally know because they're not in YouTube or worldwide FM or something like that. Um, People like I have to say this: Alex Agor, Cullen Greaves from Canada, Robert Matos. You probably know him as the Underground Soul Creations, um, and the remixers and the DJs that I come across in Twitch. So currently, I am much more attracted to those kind of producers. Of course, I still try to find and see Louis Vega stuff, but I'm very much attracted now to listening to what uh, the fam actually created, such as yourself, DJ Dilot. So I found a lot of stuff that is beautiful. It's great. It's dope, and those have been my influence now. Those are my influence now.
Hey, that is well said. To your point, without Twitch, we wouldn't be exposed to a lot of these what we'll call local and under the radar producers, remixers, and to your point, really good music, great stuff, and it feels good to support
Great music.
the fam. So when I pick up
Great
Midas
music. Mind
Retouch,
blowing.
you
Mind
know,
blowing.
it's like
Yep.
I'm supporting something I can touch, right?
Yep.
And that's really cool. I want to make sure I don't miss
That's right.
this.
Yep.
I want to make sure I don't miss this. Dreammaker Diva asked,
Yep.
what other hobbies do you have?
Um, Personally, in sports, I think I do tennis. Haven't been doing it as much as I like to do it now, but um, I grew up with tennis, so that is one. And I'm enjoying work actually. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I work in the fields that I they don't see it as 100% working. So but I actually are those kind of people who one of those people who enjoy their work on the side, of course. Tennis, music, learning how to DJ, and uh, I think that's all. And family. My kid is still growing up, so spending a lot of time and actually uh, enjoying the things that he likes is my enjoyment too. Transformers and all those stuff.
Well, hey, I think the chat and the fam have spoken a very
That's my
authentic
jam. I see you, fam.
guest, and they really appreciate you so much. And we haven't talked about this, but you don't come across as a guy that just got into this thing a few years ago. You have a very mature approach to the music. You play across different feels. I like to call it. I don't like to say genres. I like to say feels. Right? Maybe it's an Afro Latin vibe. Maybe it's a disco vibe. The one you did the other day, where
Thank
when
you.
I got on, I want to say it was either yesterday or Thursday, whenever it was. It would have this kind of old school, maybe it was disco soul or something like that. But it was crazy. And I just want to, acknowledge that. Hey, I see that you put the time in and you really study your music and study the craft. So kudos to you for that. When can people check you out?
Oh, thank you for that. It's been a joyful learning. I'm enjoying every second of it. And I got the feedback from everyone from that comes into my stream, and that's how I keep on learning. This is how I keep on learning about new music, new sports.
And when do you stream?
Um, in the US, it's I think it's early Sunday morning around 7 Eastern. I'm now have to learning a lot of the time difference everywhere. It's about 7 or 8 Eastern US on a Sunday, and it's about 1 p.m. for the UK. It's about 9 p.m. for the Japan time zone. So that's that's what I usually do. But I'm grateful that I got invited to a lot of the great raid trains, including yours and Remaker Divas, to play with a lot of the Twitch fam.
That's great. So we can see you tomorrow in from the US 7 a.m. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, yep, that's correct. But don't lose sleep over it. It's nothing. Don't lose. I always say to the people, don't lose sleep. If you're up, you're up. But don't lose sleep.
That's great. Hey, I will tell you it's worth losing sleep, but I hear what you're saying. This has been incredible, RT9. And hey, if you guys missed it, we'll have the replay up for you. He's a singer, he's a family man. His name, RT9, is just that, his name and his favorite number. He loves the oldies. He came up in music, and he's very versatile on the decks. What a pleasure! Any parting thoughts you leave for us?
I like what Rick, aka Yuri K, said in his streams. In our own very different ways, we try to continue the culture in one way or the other. The music, by playing it, by creating it, by mixing it, by editing it, by doing a show about it, just by saying hi in the chats when someone new coming in Twitch. That's already a good positive image of the culture and the music, and I hope that continues on. That's we all we got. So we try to you know expand it or introduce it.
Hey, well, with that, folks, RT9 said it all. The fam loves you and appreciates you so much. We're going to go ahead and raid over and get the party started because it makes so much sense. And we're going to head on over to Mix Master Hot. So, hey, RT9, we will see you tomorrow morning or evening, contingent upon where you are in the world. Thank you guys so much. I see the bits. That's my jam. It is greatly appreciated. And we are going over right now. You guys have a safe and wonderful day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, DJ D Lot.
You bet.